Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode in Vedic Astrology. Today, I'm going to be elaborating on exaltation and debilitation of planets. If you remember, I did a previous episode where I talked about how debilitated planets may not be all that bad for you, right? Um, so here I'm going to explain how that works out, how it turns out to be sometimes good for you. Okay, so let's before going into that, let's look at the various planets and see how where they are exalted, where they're debilitated, and see why that is so. Why that exaltation, debilitation is considered. Okay, so Sun, right? The first planet, Sun, is exalted in Aries. Okay, it's exalted in Aries. Why? Because Sun is about ego. It's about yourself, your independence. It's all about being the master, the king, right? And what is Aries? Aries is all about yourself. It's Aries is concerned only about yourself. It's if you can call it a selfish sign, if you will. So Sun is very very comfortable in Aries because they have similar motives, Sun and Aries. Okay, so Sun is debilitated in Libra. Why? Because Libra is a sign of cooperation. It's about other people. It's about deliberation. It's about weighing the scales. Weighing the consequences, the pros and cons, and everything. So Sun is a decisive planet. It doesn't feel comfortable in Libra because you cannot be king and be dependent on on other people. The king is the authority, right? If the king is forced to depend on other people, then he's no longer a king, right? I mean, I know that if you don't take it literally, a king has to depend on his ministers and the council of his his cabinet and so on. But you get my point, right? A king is the one leader, the supreme leader, and the king does not feel comfortable in Libra. At the same time, why is debilitation of Sun not too bad? Because for the exact same reason. In these days, in any democracy, you cannot. This is not an authoritarian times. You cannot be in most countries, at least, you cannot be an absolute dictator, right? You need to form bipartisan relations with other parties, with other politicians, and so on, and that's how life works these days. So these days, it's not too bad to have debilitated. If in fact, if you see charts of a lot of politicians, they will have a debilitated sun. They'll have sun in Libra. All right. So moving on, Moon. Moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. Why? Because Taurus is about luxury. It's about nice things in life, right? It's Taurus is a sign owned by Venus, so it's about art. It's about the luxuries in life, the finer pleasures, eating, sexual relations, and things like that. Good speech, good singing. So Moon is your mental state, your mind. So you want your mind to be uh, concerned with nice things, right? You don't want your mind to be in Scorpio. Scorpio is where Moon is debilitated. Scorpio is about secrets. It's about emotional upheaval. It's about trying to dominate people, playing mind games, having control over people. Scorpio is also about things like black magic. It's about um, you know death and rebirth and that sort of stuff. So you don't want your mind to be occupied with all of that, right? So that's why Scorpio is debilitated in Moon is debilitated in Scorpio. Okay. At the same time, it's not too bad to have Moon sitting in Scorpio for the exact same reasons. It just gives you, if you are a black magician, if you are, for example, Scorpio is also related to astrology, right? So it's about your inner psyche, it's about your intuition and stuff. So astrology is all of that. So if, depending on how you are and what you want to do in life, it's I don't think Moon in Scorpio is too bad a placement, um, right? So that's another example of how a debilitated planet may not be too bad. Now moving on to the planet of Mercury. Mercury is what? Intelligence, thinking, communication, right? It's exalted in the sign of Virgo. What is Virgo? Virgo is analytical. It's Virgo is about uh, compartmentalizing everything, your thoughts and everything, and being a perfectionist. So Mercury does very well in the sign of Virgo. But Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury does very well. Mercury is debilitated in Pisces. Pisces is what? Pisces is just flowing. It's never constant. It's very sporadic. So you cannot have a mind. An analytical and logical mind does not do well in um, analytical and logical thinking process will not do well in Pisces. But at the same time, um, Mercury in Pisces is something that will give you inspiration, a sudden burst of inspiration about a problem. It will allow you to think out of the box. Like Albert Einstein had Mercury in Pisces, and his mind was, yeah, in his childhood he was considered to be a very bad student. His teachers said he won't amount to anything. I believe they even recommended him to go to a special school. But look what happened. I mean, he was able to use uh, his defragmented thinking process, if you want to call it that, to come up with some just awesome theories, just thinking out of the box, right? So yeah, there you go, another example. And what's the next planet? Venus. Venus is the opposite actually. Venus is exalted in Pisces and debilitated in Virgo. So Venus is what? Art, beauty, luxury. You can consider art to be synonymous with Venus, and Venus is you cannot have art that's logical and analytical and it doesn't work. It's art has to be spontaneous. Has to come from within, right? And that's why it's exalted in Pisces. And but then again, Venus in Virgo, you need that because you cannot have an imaginative mind. I mean, it helps to have that, but you let's say you're an artist or a writer and you get all these inspirations, you got to be able to sit down and market your stuff, right? It's you cannot just do all these art paintings, let's say, and just sit on them, and that's not going to fetch you any money. So you need an earth sign to you need a strong placed planets in your horoscope to be able to monetize, to be able to take advantage of your creativity and make money, because how can you live without paying the bills, right? So that's why Venus in Virgo isn't too bad. If provided your Venus is strong, otherwise, um, you need a practical side to Venus to be able to capitalize on your creativity, right? Mars. Mars is planet of action, violence, aggression, and energy, right? That's why it's exalted in Capricorn, because Capricorn is what? Ambition. It's about doing something in life, being useful to society, and to rise up. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so it's all about being in a corporation, let's say, and working hard and using all of your energy and doing something productive for both yourself and for the society. Mars debilitated in Cancer. Why? Cancer is Cancer is ruled by Moon, so it's about your mind. It's considered bad to have a mind that is filled with violent thoughts. It's right. So um, Mars in Cancer is all about, think about it. It's being very competitive, right? Your mind is ruled by, in this case, Mars in Cancer gives you the abilities to be competitive, to be able to manipulate people emotionally and stuff, and that's considered bad. But in these days, think about it. It's all athletes are supposed to have this this combination. Again, a lot of pro athletes have this combination. Most famous example is Michael Jordan. You know, and so yeah, it's not at all too bad to have this combination. Now the last two planets, Jupiter. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It's opposite of Mars and debilitated in Capricorn. Because Jupiter is all about teaching and being a student and nurturing, not nurturing, but it's Jupiter is a planet of learning and knowledge stuff. So you are supposed to use your knowledge to help people, to nurture people, to bring them up to their potential, and that's why it's considered debilitated in Capricorn because sages. Jupiter is synonymous with sages and rishis and learned people. Uh, Typically in olden days they don't use it. They didn't never used it for Capricornian gains like to make money in the stock market and stuff, right? That's why it's kind of debilitated. But these days, who cares? You Jupiter and Capricorn is it's great. If you can do that, you become a millionaire. Saturn is the opposite of Sun. Saturn is exalted in Libra and debilitated in Aries. Why? Because Saturn is a planet of patience. It's about treading carefully to make sure that it's all about it's all about working hard. You can't. Saturn in Aries is a bad placement because Aries is very impulsive and Saturn is not. Okay, so they will be at loggerheads with each other. Saturn does very well in Libra exactly because Libra is not impulsive at all. Librans are very very indecisive, right? Not indecisive. They like to look at at all angles and make sure that what they're doing is exactly right. And so Saturn fits perfectly in Libra, right? Um, Saturn in Aries is is considered bad, but again, if for let's say Muhammad Ali, right, the boxer, he had Saturn in Aries, and what does it mean? You just work hard to become a great fighter because Aries is ruled by Mars, it's fighter, fighting ability, and so as you can see, all these examples, its debilitation is not at all bad. In a way, if a planet is debilitated, right, it leads to this thing called overcompensation. I've heard of that. When a person is very weak in something, that person will either give up and say, this is not going to work out for me, or that person will be driven to succeed in that exact field, because it creates a void within you, within that person, and um, they depending on other placements, right? Your other planets, your moon and stuff, and um, all of that. Depending on that, it can either make you give up or make you overcompensate and become really, really great in whatever with whatever planet that's actually very weak in your horoscope. Okay, it's filled with examples of that. That's the principle behind this yoga called Nicha Bhanga Raja Yoga. I'll talk about that in one of my future episodes, maybe even the next one. But what basically it means is Nietzsche. Nietzsche is a Nietzsche planet, a debilitated planet. Because of that, because of other factors in your horoscope, it'll actually bring you to great heights. Simply because you had this Nietzsche in the first place, Nietzsche planet in the first place. Okay, so I think that covers what I set out to say today, and I hope you found this useful. And coming up, next episode I'll probably talk about this Nicha Bangaraja yoga and how to identify whether this yoga exists in a horoscope or not. It's pretty interesting. So stay tuned. Bye bye.